One of the most important things to consider when creating horns in MIDI is the fact that each instrument actually takes breath to play and that the dynamics usually change from the beginning to the end of the note. When you hear a horn sound that keeps the same tone and volume from the start to the finish, it's usually a dead giveaway that the horns are not real. The performer only has a certain amount of air to play the note or phrase they're playing in most cases. Fortunately, most horn-based virtual instruments have a parameter called expression, which allows you to adjust the tone and volume of the instrument with one control change. Let's see how to do that. I've assigned one of the faders on my MIDI controller to control change number 11. To make sure that the instrument is responding to MIDI CC11, I also click on the instrument, select the Control tab, and make sure that the dynamic control is set to MIDI CC11. If I wanted the keyboard velocity to control the note volume, I could select velocity, but then the note would just play at one volume throughout, and I wouldn't be able to change the dynamics throughout the note, so that's why I set it to CC11. Let's close this out and look at the MIDI file. I'll play the file with no expression data at all. Notice that the notes don't sound natural since a real player would trail out on a number of them. Also, the notes are all the same volume, and it's very unlikely that a real player would do that as well. So what I'm going to do to make it more realistic is I'm going to play the part back and record MIDI automation for CC11 while listening back. If you're really good, you can actually play the notes with one hand and move the fader with the other at the same time, but I think that it may be a little easier to do this in separate passes. So now I've recorded my fader moves and the sax sounds more expressive already. I can zoom in on the expression lane to see more detail about what I've done. I can also click the various automation points and edit them to my liking. I just zoom in here and make any adjustments I want with the cursor, like so. I want to take any long notes and have them trail off instead of staying the same volume. Also, when someone plays a note, they usually don't start the note at full volume with a bright tone, so I like to do quick volume swells as well. Basically, I'm going to go through the entire take and make it as expressive as possible. I'll make an adjustment here. Raise this one up a little bit. And I'll do it again here. So I'm going to do this throughout the recording. And this is what I'm left with. I'll move on to the next instrument, the trombone, and we'll do the same thing, making sure that the notes trail off as naturally as possible. I can also make small adjustments to the timing of the notes if necessary. I do have to keep in mind that if I end up putting compression and limiting on the parts or the whole song, they may end up evening out the levels a little, so I'd probably want to err on the side of more dynamics. Let's do some more automation. Okay, once again, I'm going to go back in and make some more edits. I do want to make sure, though, if I am going to edit anything, I'd want to zoom in a little bit and make sure that I actually move something that's on a beat so that it doesn't move everything over. I'm going to bring up the first part, make it a little louder. Let's hear what that sounds like. Sounds much better. So I'll basically go through each of these instruments individually, and these dynamics changes will go a long way in making the horn sound much more realistic. I'll also turn on the mastering effects that I will probably end up using just to make sure they aren't canceling out the dynamic changes that I'm making with the automation. I'll go to my mixer and just turn those effects on. And this is what it sounds like with the bari sax and the trombone playing along with the rhythm section. So I've been using a fader to make those adjustments on the expression parameter, but if you really want to get fancy, you can also get a breath controller that can actually send those messages as well. If you get good enough at it, you can actually play the notes and do the breath control messages at the same time. So doing automation with the expression parameter in a horn-based virtual instrument is one of the keys to making it sound more realistic. Thanks for watching.